And the waves go up and down. We are good to go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to today's atrocity. As always, I've come extremely prepared in my extremely professional studio in the extremely dedicated time slot. I know the jokes are repetitive, but let's face it, I don't really have anything else to say. Yesterday, I kind of realized, let's begin with the review part. Yesterday, I broadcasted two videos really. The first one was in English, obviously, as per our schedule, in which I might have had a mental breakdown. Might. And I was being slightly loud. Slightly, nothing serious. And I realized that when I have a topic to, and this might really actually be a good format where I take some topic and I decide to rage about it. But again, while taking the topic, I need to make sure that it is not controversial and it is really a very light and often spoken traffic, and it doesn't speak on any political matters and all that, because let's face it, I'm a person with an extremely what you can say, if something goes wrong, then over a single call I can call at least 25,000 people who are ready to what you can say, live or die for my protection. So there's that. I just performed a very aggressive pull and overtook two vehicles similar to what Max Verstappen did in Spa, I think. I think a Ferrari and some other car I think Ferrari and Mercedes, if I'm not wrong, obviously. I watch F1, I'm a very big fan of F1, but I don't. I say I'm a die-hard fan of F1, but I am more of a fan of the engineering part, the technicalities, and not really of what goes on, who wins. And I'm among those people who likes domination of a particular team. I like when a team has engineering supremacy and is a very well-oiled team. I enjoy the feeling of what most people call boring, obviously, because they watch the sport for entertainment. Guys, motorsport can be entertaining, obviously, but it is not meant to be. For anyone to succeed in motorsport, there needs to be domination. The measure of success in domination is obviously winning the championship, and the measure of excellence is domination. For me, at least. So I really enjoy that feeling. I really enjoyed the feeling when Mercedes won 8 Constructors' Championships, Lewis won 7 Constructors' Championships, and I don't know in which order they won, really. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. And then I really enjoyed, I'm not gonna say 2021, because again it's a very controversial year, and because I am a person who takes his opinions very seriously and likes to form an opinion, I am not going to talk about it and thus not take any sides, because I don't want to come under any crossfire. So 2022, 2023, 2024, I really enjoyed the season when Red Bull had built a rocket ship, Adrian Newey, who is believed to be the major reason behind Red Bull's success, because these up till 2025 era are what is defined as the ground effect era, which means that you need to have a death grip over aerodynamics and thus need a very proficient. And thus, if your car is fast, that simply means that your car is aerodynamically more slippery is what we call. What means by slippery is that it can slice through air with ease. For all the non-technical people, let's face it, I get an average of 4 views, but let's not all of a sudden adhere to reality. Let's continue, let's plow through in our delusional world. So, what I was saying, yeah, you might have observed that whenever a car, bike, or anything of that sort passes you, you feel a certain gush of air coming. If you're on a bike and your bike and yourself are fairly lightweighted, then you might when a truck passes you, you might feel a slight push in the opposite direction. And from, like, for example, if the truck has overtaken you from the right side, you might feel a push towards the left side, and with the push you might feel a sudden gush of air coming. That is what is called as drag, and what the ground effect era cars aim in achieving is, it should just cut through it. You should watch wet races. The water obviously is the best visualizer, not a accurate visualizer obviously, but the best visualizer when it comes to seeing the aerodynamics of a car. So really, what I was saying, see, this is again, the overthinking, over explanation loop, but never mind. Yeah. So I really am among those people who really enjoys domination as such. I normally, people get excited when there are overtakes and someone like, for example, from the second half of 2025, 2024 actually, McLaren F1 team, McLaren has the upper hand, and Red Bull is just winning because, well, let's face it, Max Verstappen is an absolute, how can I say this, absolute freak of a human being. I don't know. See, this is again a very controversial, what you can say, opinion that I have. I feel that trauma and harsh conditions and let's just keep it up to that. Let's not go into the upbringing of Max Verstappen, because that again is a very controversial opinion. But harsh conditions, uncomfortable scenarios, and trauma in the childhood of any child brings out genius inside the child. That's exactly the reason why most of the IAS, IPS aspirants come from a very dull background. Most of them can't even afford a two-time meal. They work while they don't have expensive coachings really. They do everything on their own without any proper guidance, and then somehow manage to get a little bit of guidance. And most of the times, whenever you see any student get successful into really prestigious and really high level jobs, you mostly find a terrible background attached to that person. This is not, I'm not generalizing it, but this is what happens most of the times. As per the limited exposure and the deep research that I have done, which might even be deeper than AI, and obviously I'll reveal my source. It is Instagram Reels. It's not a news channel. It's not even any articles. It's not a newspaper, obviously, cause and it's really Instagram Reels is my source. So Yeah, whenever you see any IS, IPS getting successful, it's mostly, rickshawala's son becomes an IPS, or construction worker's son or daughter gets into IIT, or um, what else? Similar things. Similarly, Lewis Hamilton. I really started watching F1, I think, from 2020, and I am unfortunately among those Drive to Survive people. I started watching F1, then I came to know about Drive to Survive, and then ever since Drive to Survive, I started to binge watched all the seasons of Drive to Survive, and that's the exposure that I have for F1. I've started watching since 2020, I think. I haven't really watched the W11 era. I have tried I have the F1 TV Pro subscription, so I have the access to the archive. I've tried multiple times to go through the previous races, but since I'm extremely busy, I can't find the time to do so. Anyways, so Lewis Hamilton was came from an extremely not so wealthy background. His father had to do multiple jobs as per the interview bits that I've received on Instagram Reels, which is extremely trusted source, and which cannot be edited and all those things. So he was a extremely what you can say person with not that much of privileges. His father had to do multiple jobs to make him pursue his dream of being a Formula One driver. His father used to personally train him. He put him through unrealistic goals, which turned out to be not really unrealistic, and made Lewis Hamilton an absolutely beast of a driver. Unfortunately, nature and the universe is designed in such a way that after some time the age factor kicks in, and you can't really win against the law of nature. And that's why, due to declining age, Lewis Hamilton has now fallen into the depths of hell, otherwise known as the back of the grid. Even though this is the current scenario, obviously, as per the latest interview that Lewis Hamilton gave, he thinks that Ferrari has made a very good car, which I highly doubt. Ferrari is a very capable team. Obvious lie, because Ferrari, obviously, if you might have seen the races carefully, they deliberately put their drivers into race losing strategies. So there's that. Anyway, so in his recent interview, he was extremely demotivated, said that Ferrari deserves much more and that he should retire indirectly, obviously, and that Ferrari should look for a new driver. This was before going to the summer break. This weekend is a race weekend. Race weekend basically means that the F1 racing format will take place, which will start with qualifying and go towards racing. Qualifying basically, it's drivers going around the lap as fast as they can, and as far lesser the time, higher is the position of the grid, and then that also decides the grid for the race start, which means that you might have seen that the cars file in a certain manner behind one another. So the faster the driver goes in qualifying, the higher up the grid he gets the position to start his race, which kind of gives an advantage. This quickly has changed into F. Is it? No, it's obviously it's not a vowel. So this quickly has changed into F1 channel and 101, or is it 101? F1 101, whatever. Yeah, obviously my I started with, yeah, anyways. So Lewis Hamilton had an extremely harsh upbringing, didn't get many privileges, and had to work harder than most kids nowadays to get himself into F1. And at the time, racism was at its peak, and F1 was really at that time run by light skin colored people. Not run actually. Most of the people in F1 were light skin colored people, so he also occasionally had to face racism. And because of all these harsh conditions, I believe he has won more than 100 races in his career. He has won 7 world championships. And I was of the opinion definitely that Lewis Hamilton won all of his races because he had the fastest car and he just had to compete against his team. I wasn't even of the opinion that he had to compete against his teammate really. But again, I used to think that he had the fastest car and it was very easy. And obviously, most of his teammates, other than Nico Rosberg, were not up to his skill. So I naturally used to blame Lewis Hamilton for that. That obviously because of a immature mentality, I used to think that maybe Lewis Hamilton is getting a better car and his teammates aren't. So, but yeah, I still rooted for him because of my. But there was no other reason for me to root for him other than the sheer domination of Mercedes. They used to win every race, not every race, but most of the races. Lewis Hamilton used to be dominated most of them, and all those things. So that was my reason to support Lewis Hamilton. But then, cut to 2025, you can see the condition of McLaren and especially Lando Norris. Lando Norris has the fastest car for 1.5 year now. Not 1.5 year really, 1 year now. And if if it was Lewis Hamilton or if it was Max Verstappen, I completely forgot about. Let's first speak about Max Verstappen. So Max Verstappen, again, extremely traumatic childhood. That was a really traumatic childhood. Obviously, for political correctness, I can't go into much details about Max Verstappen. But Max Verstappen indeed had a very traumatic childhood, and he went through things that most kids won't, and in this case, really shouldn't. So I definitely don't endorse for that. But yeah, had a very traumatic childhood, and it was it has kind of become an obsession of Max Verstappen. He really, I think, gets glimpse of his childhood whenever he's losing, and for him, losing means coming second. Because during the ever since Max Verstappen has joined F1, after and ever since Nico Rosberg has left F1, if Lewis Hamilton was first, Max Verstappen was second. And until recently, Max Verstappen hadn't finished a race other than any mechanical failures in the car or by his own mistake. That is, he lost. He made a mistake and he ended up in the barriers. Not even that. If there was a mechanical problem with the car or if he got caught up in a accident, other than that, Max Verstappen until recently did not ever finish out of the points. So Max Verstappen basically gets really cranky when he is not winning, really, or if something goes wrong. And he gets nervous, and most of the people listening to him feel that why is he getting so cranky, and it was annoying because he used to start complaining and all that. I mean, even Lewis Hamilton should do so, but let's talk about. But Lewis Hamilton, it was a strategy for Lewis Hamilton, but let's not, jump between topics. So the reason for that is what I think is because Max Verstappen has had such a traumatic upbringing is what I would say, because he's just 25 years old, which is similar to what I am aged at, and look at his achievements. So and up till a major part of his father comes to all of his races. So you know okay, yeah. So it's like the trauma kicks in, and he gets really cranky about it, and all those things. Max Verstappen. And that is also the reason why I think he pushes himself so hard and wins every single race. From the Christian Horner, who was the team principal of Red Bull, had himself admitted that Max Verstappen is so talented and he used to drive the car so well that they had gone in an entirely wrong direction for their car since the mid of 2023, I think. But Max Verstappen was so good in driving the car that he kept winning races, and their second driver, who was Checo or Sergio Perez at that time, was constantly complaining about the car that it is not good. He was he was always highlighting the issues. But since Max Verstappen was absolutely a beast of a person and he kept winning races, by the way, Max Verstappen won 19 out of the 21 races, that I think 23, or I don't know. So basically, won 19 out of how many ever races that took place inside in 2023, in spite of having issues with the car. So they went in an entirely incorrect direction for that, but Max Verstappen was so good that the team themselves have admitted publicly that since Max Verstappen kept winning races, we didn't really pay attention to a second driver and blamed it on him that he is performing poorly, and still continued to keep him as a second driver, didn't really take any action. And after some time, we did really actually take action about them, but then again, the second driver, once being in a were in our sister team, and they performed well there, and when they came to our team, they started performing badly all of a sudden. And then again, when they went back to the team, they again started performing well, and still we failed to admit that something is wrong with the car, because Max Verstappen was continuing to win the races. I didn't breathe there, by the way. It was kind of a rap, and I'm proud of that, because again, I am doing this to test my English speaking skills, and I want to enhance them. And not because I think that English is a cool language and I'll get more audience if I speak in English, which, by the way, according to the numbers on my videos, is also a fact. I have the difference between the views on my Hindi video versus the views on my English video is astronomical. The difference is of one whole view. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? I know you can't believe it, but still you'll have to believe it because it's the truth. God damn. So, anyways, Max Verstappen is a beast of a person. Lewis Hamilton is also a beast of a person, but Lewis Hamilton, has also plays mind games with his competitors. He complains about the tires wearing off, then sets fastest laps. He complains about the car not performing well, and then finishes the race 30 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. He complains that his tire has blown off during some British GP, but still wins the race by 8 seconds. I mean, I could see in the race, I could see that the tire has actually blown off, and it is blown off into shreds. And Lewis Hamilton had gained a 30-second lead, I think, over Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen was rapidly approaching, but he still won the race without going off the track once. So, did he really lose the tire, or was it, Mercedes just projecting a hologram, which made the field realize that he has lost a tire, and then maybe Lewis Hamilton had decided to take a piss on everybody, and he decided that let me show you that even if I run the car in formation lap pace, I'm still better than everyone and still win. What's the proof that this wasn't done? So Lewis Hamilton does that often, more than often actually, and that's why no one really believes him. And that is also the reason why most of his team fans, such as myself, oh no, sorry, I didn't say that. I am an extremely unbiased person who doesn't take any sides and who supports equally to whichever team is winning. So yeah, so Lewis Hamilton is kind of an hypocrite. Not really a hypocrite actually. Saying that he's a hypocrite would be barefaced hitism, if that's a word. And I think that he just plays mind games with his competitors, because obviously the team radios are broadcasted to all the channels and they can listen to what calls the people are giving, and then maybe he wants to force maybe he's saying that his tire has worn off, and maybe he might be slowing down, but his tires are in perfectly good condition, so that his competitors listen to what he is saying, and then wear out go really fast, and then wear out their tires quickly, and by the time they approach Lewis Hamilton, who had obviously bluffed, will then take off without keeping a competitive advantage to the what you say to the come on, say it fast. I just come across a very interesting topic. To the racer, who's to the F1 driver who's trying to chase him. By the way, what I have seen just now on the road is mind blowing. I have just seen a lady crash into a BMW 3 Series, and the skid plate, rear bumper bottom skid plate has come off. That should cost north of 50,000 rupees. I think this is the part cost. I'm not speaking about the installation charges. Wow! Extremely professional driving. Where were we? So Lewis Hamilton. This is what I think. Lewis Hamilton just wants his competitors to be what you can say distracted, or use up the tires, so that they use up the tires when they are approaching him, and when towards the end of the race, Lewis Hamilton has preserved his tires obviously while racing slowly, and while making everyone think that his tires are gone, will push for the towards the end of the race, and then since his competitors have lost all the competitive advantage, they'll then not be able to overtake Lewis Hamilton. Extremely intelligent thinking. So there's that. Max was today I'm speaking about F1, and that's really really rare. But yeah, I am speaking about F1. And why have I started to speak about F1 really? I didn't think that was the topic of today's conversation. I think I had started with something different, and I think I had found a topic to speak about, but it somehow entered into F1, and now we are speaking about F1. I think it must be about 30 minutes since I'm yelling into the mic, and this time I'm really yelling. I have kind of developed a sore throat because I'm traveling on my bike, and then the air and the dust particles, go into the mouth, and because the dust particles go inside the stick to on the throat, will lead to throat infection. But because I take this extremely seriously and I'm really dedicated towards it, I am going to ignore all this and I'm gonna continue to record and yell in the mic, even though it means my throat will go off and I'll develop a sore throat and I'll develop and eventually my voice will change. I don't know the medical term for that, but in the local language we call it as gasa basne, which means that your voice changes, or small, or in some cases you're not even able to talk because something has happened inside your throat, which again I don't know the depth of. It has happened multiple times to me, but because I'm such a detail oriented and a person who pays attention to the small stuff and who takes not only his mental health but also his physical health seriously and does things so that the recurring problems won't repeat again. um, I don't know what really happens when the Ghasa Basne condition arises. So that's that. So Max Verstappen is a. I listen to one of the YouTubers. He's kind of my favorite, not favorite. I won't say favorite, but I really like the way he speaks. And as I'm trying to record in English, it is kind of inspired from him, but not really. I normally speak in the same tone as well, but I'm using some of his phrases. So I really like the way he speaks. I find that it is funny, even though he's not really trying to be funny. But I don't know. So again, one of my source of information is again from that YouTuber, who I believe does extensive research, but obviously I haven't done the effort to verify. Since my videos are extremely well scripted, and since what do you say? Since I am using I've innovated the HUD technology, and the script for this video is right in front of my eyes as I'm speaking, and I have a super brain really. That's why I can do so many things at the same time. But still somehow I can't manage to use a phone while driving. I saw another person using his phone while driving and really was doing the same thing that I said that it was okay to do in the last video. That is, if you don't want to wish, you can pull, and if it's a broad road, which is what it is on which I'm driving, you can simply pull towards the left, and then you can continue using your phone and then let the other traffic pass. And he was really not being a disturbance to the rest of the traffic on the road, but because he caused me slight inconvenience, I've decided to now call him a stupid idiot, because again I'm an extremely reasonable person who has extremely stable mindset, who doesn't form opinions on the basis of the condition, and who again sticks to his values and principles and opinions I think me saying, me implying obviously that I don't stick to my values and principles would be wrong. I would like to keep it up to opinion. So there's that. We have completely deviated from the fun topic. Yeah, I was speaking about the domination part. I remembered. So I used to think that all these people, even Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, are winning because they're dominating. But Max Verstappen proved his point after winning the 2024 championship. Halfway through the season, Lando Norris had the fastest car. His teammate Oscar Piastri used to either get updates late, or since it was his only second season, if I'm not wrong, in F1, he was still taking his time. I mean, he had driven McLaren, which was slow, and then all of a sudden he is driving McLaren, which is fast. So I gave him the benefit of doubt that he might have taken some time to get used to. And ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm seeing a gem of a car. I am seeing Octavia VRS on the road. Oh my God! I can't believe my eyes. This is the Octavia VRS. Oh God! 245 horsepower, 350 newton meters of torque, and the sports car for God. God damn. Anyways, back to my point on domination. So Lando Norris has had the fastest car for half of the 2024 season, through which I think I have added. Obviously, since I do such deep research, I obviously didn't verify this data before claiming it on a public platform. That I think Lando Norris, if he won every race in after I think Silverstone, he might have won the drivers' championship that year. But obviously he didn't. And the credit not only goes to, I mean, obviously the 75%, I would even say 80%, I can't really put a percentage on this. Max Verstappen was obviously a beast of a person, but then Lando Norris, I haven't really heard any tragic backstory about Lando Norris, that he had a difficult upbringing. I think his father was extremely wealthy person, and he has grown up in a very nourishing, and he didn't really have a difficult life and all that. Yeah, that was the point that I was actually making, wasn't I? So Lando Norris had the fastest car and still he wasn't able to win because Max Verstappen was absolute beast who used to take things seriously, and also because Lando Norris, even though it's his what you can say, it says he has been in F1 for a long time. I think north of 5 years. Now it was his sixth season last year. I'm not sure about this. Please don't quote me on this. Yet, yeah, I think he has similar or 1 or 2 years less experience as compared to Max Verstappen. Yet Max Verstappen is a four-time world champion, and Lando Norris is none. And he used to make so many mistakes, even though he had the fastest car, and couldn't really do anything about Max Verstappen. Even though he was at that time his car was the fourth fastest car on the grid, and yeah, he still couldn't overtake Max Verstappen, and Max Verstappen still won the championship by more than 60 points or somewhere around 80 points. Again, I haven't checked because, again, Lando Norris doesn't have the drive or cannot match the drive of these great people. And I believe most of the F1 professional YouTubers are claiming that the only reason Max Verstappen was still winning the championship at that point was because Lewis Hamilton was not in that McLaren. So there's that. And then this year, he's still not leading the F1 championship. He has been now overdeveloped by Oscar Piastri, who is still a baby when it comes to F1 and has still managed to, I think he has one-fourth of the experience what Lando Norris has, if not half, I think. Half of the experience that Lando Norris has, if not one-fourth. Sorry, I said it the other way around. Sorry! And yet, he has... Here you go. He has managed to lead the championship, even though Lando Norris has now started to win races. And what he did in the previous race was really phenomenal and showed a lot of maturity, patience, and overall development, which seemed to be lacking. I personally don't like Lando Norris, and I am trying to put this forth as normally as possible. I don't really like his personality. I think he's a privileged prick. I think he doesn't have the, not only drive, but he doesn't acknowledge the privileges and the kind of environment that he has gotten in F1 at such an early age. I mean, credit where credit is due. He stuck with the team even in their bad times. But let's face it, were anyone really ready to take up Lando Norris in their team? Because I don't think Lando Norris ever displayed any groundbreaking skills or any such skills that would put him up there. So yeah, I don't like his personality really. He has made many controversial opinion in this. Whenever it comes to the press conferences, most professional YouTubers who review F1 full time have even called him obnoxious and downright, downright delusional, and have criticized his opinions heavily. So there's that. Yeah, so that is again the reason I'm really tying this together today, although it is accidental. I don't mean to do this. I didn't plan this beforehand, but it just happens to fall in place. So there's that, and that's the reason why Lando Norris. And yeah, that's the reason why I think that trauma and harsh upbringing environments really form a person, and that's again the reason why I am this way. Because I am the only child. My father had a good job. He obviously sacrificed things for himself, but made sure that I got everything. All of my wishes were always fulfilled, materialistically and emotionally up till a certain point. and I think everything was really good for me, better than most people around me, most relatives around me, and that again might be the reason why some of my relatives and most of the people around me are jealous about it. And I don't really blame them because it is extremely reasonable what they feel, and it is extremely reasonable as to the kind of opinions that they have formed for me. And up till a certain point, I used to obviously feel that why do people hate me for no reason, but now I understand. So again, being an entitled person, that's why I am the way I am, and kind of since emotionally the environment around me changed. That's why, because I had the what you can say habit of living in an entitled way, living in a way where I have a lot of attention, living in an environment that was specifically catered for my comfort and my happiness. And really, I was living in a delusion. And now that I'm in a reality adhering situation, now that I've grown into an adult, now that my responsibilities have increased, and now that people have actually started to expect things out of me, which is quite normal for anyone who is of my age, and I believe that many people who are of my age are doing more that than what I have and ever probably will. So not at all self-criticizing, extremely uplifting, and a very self-confident inducing mentality. I didn't complete my point because because the environment around me has changed. I can't, and I am really functioning in a more reality adhering environment. That's why I can't really wrap things around it, and it has taken a toll on me, obviously, which I'll never admit, even though I have no right now. But I did not say that. It's the voices inside your head that are speaking to you through this YouTube video, and you need to get yourself checked. That's why I constantly feel the need to talk it out, even though I know it's not that important. Let's face it, I've recorded what? So this is the seventh video that I'm recording right now, and I've been speaking single-handedly about what I feel for the past how much time? Yeah, quite a long time. But so there's that, and so I really got throttle happy there. By the way, I really revved my bike for no logical reason, and there's that. So let's conclude the broadcast for today. Thank you for tuning in, and goodbye.